The Amazon rainforest is a vast and extraordinary region that spans about 6.7 million square kilometers across South America, reaching into Brazil, Bolivia, and several other countries. It's huge and mysterious, and what lies within may still be undiscovered. Here are 20 of the scariest things found in the Amazon. Number 20. The bullet ant. This is officially the insect with the world's most painful sting. So that sounds super fun. Their name apparently comes from the fact that a sting from one of these little blighters is akin to being shot by a bullet. And yes, you should probably run away from them. It's just the most sensible option. These ants live in tropical rainforests in a mainly and mercifully peaceful manner. They are not especially aggressive and will only sting when they're provoked. But if you do happen to upset one of these guys, then you can expect all of his friends to show up at the party and begin having a go at you as well. That's right. If you're unlucky enough to get stung by a single bullet ant, it's going to release a chemical that signals to all the other bullet ants nearby, and then they'll all dogpile on and sting the living daylights out of you. So if you happen to be in the rainforest, do be extra careful where you poke your fingers or toes, because if not, you're going to need to be prepared for a pain that is described in colorful detail as a blinding electric pain that repeats in waves of agony that lasts for up to 24 hours. Such fun. Number 19. Tyrant King Leech. Now, try not to have too many nightmares about this one. These are some of the biggest, ugliest bloodsuckers on planet Earth. The Amazonian leech is the same one that you may have likely seen in any movie where someone gets in the water somewhere in South America and then emerges with their back and skin all covered in black slugs. This freshwater leech can grow up to a disconcertingly large 17.72 inches long and be a chubby 3.93 inches wide. The giant Amazonian leech can be found from the mouth of the Amazon River all the way to Venezuela and the Guianas, where they mostly hang out in the marshland of the coastal wetlands. They live underwater for the most part on rocks and other debris as they digest their tasty blood dinners. Between the 1890s and the 1970s, people believed that this species was extinct. But then they collected 2 adult specimens in French Guiana, from which lots of icky little baby leeches were produced. In fact, one of them was named Grandma Moses, and she produced no fewer than 750 babies while providing so many years' worth of valuable research material to the scientists at UC Berkeley that they mourned her passing when she eventually died and placed her remains in the National Worm Collection. The highest honor available to a parasitic worm, no doubt. Number 18. The Redbellied Piranha. Piranhas have such a terrifying reputation that they are amongst the most feared of predators in the Amazon rainforest. But although they're definitely not the best swimming companions, these fish generally are not out there gnawing on humans all over the show. They mostly eat fish, insects, crustaceans, and even seeds and algae. I mean, they sound almost vegetarian. But don't get too comfortable. If they're hungry and food is scarce, the red-bellied piranha is more than happy to get together with a gang of their other piranhas and make a lot of mayhem. Group attacks, although rare, do happen, and they're absolutely not picky eaters when they're in this situation. They will attack and kill literally anything that moves, and their reputation for stripping the flesh from a large animal or even a human being in a matter of minutes is well justified. That's why they have those razor-sharp, pointy teeth after all. Although there are actually very few reported cases of piranha attacks on humans, they can and likely will have a go at humans during the dry season when food is hard to come by. So just think twice before you dip a toe in that water. It may be quick, but it would be a painful way to go. Number 17. The golden poison dart frog. Now, if you ever see a cute little golden poison frog, don't pet it. Even if it looks like it might turn into a prince, you definitely don't want to kiss this amphibian either. Even their skin contains the deadly toxin that could literally make you totally dead. These miniature frogs may only measure an inch long, but they pack a lethal punch with enough poison to kill you 10 times over. In fact, the golden poison frog lives in the rainforests of Colombia, where the indigenous Ember people still use the frog's poison to tip their darts for hunting, as they have done for many centuries. This is the very reason that these little creatures go by the name of poison frog. But you already knew that, I'm sure. You're very intelligent after all. Although the particular combination of toxins in their bodies is deadly, there are some scientists who believe that by isolating different parts of that compound, they can discover some important medical uses. They've actually developed a synthetic version of some of the frog's unique juice that can be used as a particularly potent painkiller. This is a pocket-sized but also powerful frog-based pharmacy. Number 16. Rattlesnake. Here we are with another offering of deadly monsters. Don't say we never gave you anything, now will you? Here, for your eyeballs, is a super dangerous and highly venomous pit viper, the South American rattlesnake. These solitary but deadly animals can be found all over South America, where they hang out in forests and semi-arid areas, becoming especially active at dusk and then in the early morning. They pose a special threat to you if you happen to be a rodent or even a lizard, so be very careful upon where you let your guinea pig roam. It doesn't bear thinking about. If you are a human, They are not prone to being especially aggressive towards you. But a bite from one of these reptiles is going to properly ruin your day nonetheless. The venom of the South American rattlesnake contains some of the most fun neurotoxins that cause gradual paralysis and then impaired vision and ultimately complete blindness, and also auditory disorders, breathing difficulties on account of the paralysis, muscle damage, hypertension, and shock. But the main cause of death in humans is renal failure. Woohoo! Oh, and if you don't receive rapid medical treatment, their kill rate is 72%. What an absolute fun one. Now it's time for today's topic. In June 2025, a research expedition funded by the Brazilian National Institute for Amazonian Research, INPA, was navigating a remote tributary of the Rio Negro when they encountered something that has left experts around the world stunned. The team, led by Dr. Leandro Vieira, was documenting water temperature shifts and sonar readings when a sudden disturbance erupted on the river's surface. What they saw was not a giant anaconda. Stretching nearly 70 feet long and moving with eerie fluidity, the creature had ridged dorsal humps and mottled dark skin, more akin to marine life than any known freshwater species. It glided silently just beneath the water, displacing enough current to push the team's motorboat slightly sideways. One team member captured a few seconds of blurry footage before the creature submerged into the silted depths. Reviewing sonar data later revealed a mass with density readings closer to whale flesh than reptilian. Locals call it the Cobra Encantada, a legendary spirit serpent said to guard parts of the river untouched by man. But for the researchers, it was all too real. INPA has not released official statements. But one thing is certain, the Amazon still hides giants, and some of them don't want to stay hidden. Number 15. Electric eel. This has to be one of the absolute coolest and also weirdest fish that's out there. The electric eel can actually generate its own electricity. And they are sinister looking as well, aren't they? They hide in the dark and gloomy waters, using a weird electrical radar system in order to find their way around. These are no tiddlers either. The electric eel grows to an average of 6 feet but can get much larger. These creeps live in freshwater environments and are almost famous for their bizarre and dangerous ability to produce a high-voltage shock that they use to stun their prey or defend themselves from predators. Their electrical stun effect can take out prey of some considerable size. And although it is not enough to kill a human, the trouble is it can knock you out, and then you will easily drown. But that electric charge is enough to sting, and repeated shocks could actually cause cardiac arrest. They're mostly found in the Amazon and Orinoco River areas in South America, and I should imagine also in Bonneville and secret layers as well. Number 14. Kandaroo Fish. Now, no doubt you'll have heard of this one, even if you didn't know what it was called. A tiny catfish that lives in the Amazon River, the toothpick fish or kangaroo is most famous for being attracted to swimming into and setting up camp in a human being's urethra. There are always references to this little fish in movies about the Amazon, and we've heard all of them before. Interestingly enough, though, there are not actually that many genuine accounts of the pea-loving kangaroo actually embedding itself in any unfortunate appendage, but the mythology follows it around nonetheless. These teeny-weeny fishes are actually amongst the few identified parasitic fish on the planet. And when they're not found dashing up a stream of urine, these fish usually prefer to make their home in the snugly warm gills of other fish, where they then pitch up a camp by poking out a load of spines that hold them into place. This is the process that makes them particularly painful if they end up in a person's more sensitive areas. But that host fish has a nasty experience in store. The little toothpick is about to nibble a hole and literally suck the blood out of its victim. Now, the word toothpick does make them sound skinny, but I guess it means really sharp and pointy as well. Personal note: if you do ever find yourself in the tricky situation with a kangaroo swimming up your willy, pulling it out can result in those barbs ripping through your urethra and your junk. And if it all gets all the way in, well, it's gonna suck your blood. And just so you know, maybe just stay out of the Amazon altogether. Number 13. Black Cayman. The largest of all the alligator species, the black cayman can reach lengths of up to 19.5 feet, which apparently makes them the largest animal in the whole of the Amazon basin. On the surface, it looks a lot like the American alligator with darker skin, which helps it to stay camouflaged while also hunting at night. They are nocturnal predators, which I think makes these deadly monsters just a bit scarier. The black cayman can be found in most of the Amazon basin, Bolivia, Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, French Guiana, Guyana, and Peru, where they mostly hang out in shallow bodies of fresh water like streams and rivers, lakes, and the occasional wetland. During the wet season between May and July, flooding throughout the Amazon region means that the cayman can be found spread out in about all areas. But when it is dry between September and December, the water recedes, and the caymans are much more densely packed into rivers and lakes. Hunting at night, they have extra sharp vision but weirdly less sharp teeth. Their toothy pegs are good at gripping their prey but fall short of being effective at actually the killing part. So these deadly monsters are partial to drowning their dinner or just swallowing it up whole. Number 12. The green iguana. Iguanas are amongst the biggest of the lizards. These are green tree iguanas, and they live in neotropical rainforests, especially in Peru. They can actually grow very large indeed, even up to 6 feet on occasions, although a large part of that length is the tail. You goofball. Iguanas are unlikely to cause much of a commotion since they're pretty sleepy and lazy animals, which prefer to spend the day lying on the branches of trees or on the riverbank, basking in the sun. If they are threatened, they're going to jump into the water. Surprisingly though, they're really good swimmers, and they can stay underwater for several minutes at a time. They generally move slowly but are able to move very fast if it is necessary. As juveniles, the iguanas have a diet which is mostly based on insects, but as they develop, they're going to eat more fruit and leaves. The young iguana is also very bright and green in color, but the older they get, the more gray their green hue becomes. Number 11. Ghost monkeys. The next one is not in the Amazon at all, but there you go. What are you going to do? The popa langur, which is also known as the ghost monkey, is a super rare and quite recently discovered species of monkey that's found only in Myanmar. It lives in the forests around Mount Popa, an extinct volcano that's also a sacred site for many local people. The popa langur got its nickname of ghost monkey because it's quite so rarely seen. The weirdest thing is that scientists didn't even know that this species existed until 2020, even though people had been walking through its habitat for many years. Its discovery came from a mixture of modern science and old museum specimens. Researchers from Fauna and Flora International, the German Primate Center, and the Smithsonian Institution were studying DNA from monkey bones that had been stored in museums. And when they looked closely at one skull that was originally collected over 100 years ago, that's when they realized it didn't exactly match any known species. And so they combined this genetic information with photos and videos taken in the wild and noticed a group of monkeys with unique features. They had white rings around their eyes, grayish fur, and a long tail, and the monkeys were living in isolated forests in central Myanmar and turned out to be a brand new species. Unfortunately, these monkeys are now critically endangered because there are only said to be about 200 to 250 of them in the wild, as far as anyone knows. But then again, they are really shy and manage to hide for hundreds of years without anyone noticing them at all. So then, who really knows? Number 10. Brazilian wandering spider. The distinctly sinister-sounding wandering spider has the dubious privilege of being considered the world's most venomous spider by the Guinness Book of World Records. But just how bad could it really be? Well, it turns out that it could be very, very bad indeed. So if you yourself are wandering in the Brazilian forest, you should be careful where you step. These extraordinary arachnids don't build webs to catch their prey. They wander around on the forest floor during the night and hunt them down. This scary spider is a fan of both ambush hunting and the classic direct attack. Although they do mainly hunt and eat other spiders and insects, the creatures are also known to munch on mice, reptiles, and amphibians, and so they won't bite a human in order to eat it as such, but it will bite if threatened or surprised, and it's going to hurt. A bite from a Brazilian wandering spider will usually go like this. It begins with extreme burning pain where the victim was bitten, followed by sweating and goosebumps, and then the nasty stuff which can include high or low blood pressure and fast or slow heartbeat. This will vary as the body tries to figure out how to handle the systemic attack, and then a combination of sickness, stomach pains, vertigo, blurred vision, hypothermia, heavy sweating, convulsions, and a lot of other things will set in. Of course, the severity of the reaction is going to depend on how much venom is actually in that bite, but you can never tell that until it's too late. The good news, though, is if you are unlucky enough to be bitten by one of these spiders and you seek immediate medical treatment, it's probably going to fix you right up. Probably. The things they can do with antivenom and all of that are really amazing these days. Number 9. The Amazonian giant centipede. The catchily named Scolopendra gigantea centipede is mostly found in the tropical and subtropical forests of the northern regions of South America. This is officially the largest of all centipedes on the planet, so it really should get a crown or perhaps a Chewy badge or at least some sort of certificate from our old friends at the Guinness Book of World Records. But these creatures, well, they're just too busy skulking around in the leaf litter and rotten wood of the rainforests to be all that bothered about being in the record books. These massive centipedes are often over 12 inches long, and they use their supersize to hunt some pretty large prey. Amongst the giant centipede's favorite dinners are other insects, especially spiders, scorpions, and millipedes. And they also enjoy small mammals like mice and bats and even the odd bird or frog. This gives you a clue just how big these things can get. And before you think that they're only really preying on such miniature creatures, well, humans are not entirely safe from these gigantic insects. They do have a venomous bite which is a danger to people. And there's even been a death recorded as a result of a bite by one of these bugs. So that's almost reassuring then. Number 8. The boiling river. Lots of strange stuff seems to be going on out there in the depths of the Amazon region, but this is one of an especially bizarre and actually totally unique oddity. The Shunei Timpishka, which is also known as La Bamba, is actually a small tributary of the mighty Amazon River. It's special when compared to others of its ilk on the account of its specific temperature. This is a so-called boiling river, the only boiling river in the whole wide world. Apparently, the Shunay-Timpishka flows about 4 miles in length and is generally found to have a temperature that ranges between 113 degrees Fahrenheit and 212 degrees Fahrenheit. That's between 45 and 100 degrees Celsius for people who use proper measurements. The source of the river's heat is geothermal, which means that it's heated from within the earth, although its name would mean that it's boiled by the heat of the sun. Oh well, sometimes naming stuff can just be really hard, you know? Number 7. Green Anaconda. Amongst all the snakes in the whole wide world, the green anaconda is by far the fattest. The mammoth creature may not grow quite as long as a reticulated python, but they are extremely girthy, and this makes them really, really heavy, sometimes even twice as much as a python. Green anacondas are part of the boa family. These reptiles can grow to be more than 29 feet long and have a diameter of 12 inches, and they can weigh as much as 550 pounds. To get this big, these serpents need to eat big prey, and amongst their favorite meals that they enjoy eating are deer, wild pigs, caimans, and the occasional jaguar. Anacondas are constrictors. They're not venomous. They coil themselves around their prey and squeeze until that creature asphyxiates, and then they swallow the prey whole. Like many snakes, it's actually the females that are larger, and they perfectly camouflage themselves to blend in with their jungle habitat. They have olive green coloring, dark oval spots that appear all along their spines, and yellow spots all down their sides. This makes it easy for them to skulk about in the vegetation of the rainforest, where they can leap out and then ambush their unsuspecting prey. Number 6. Vampire fish. One look at these fish, and it is no surprise that they are called vampire fish. There's no missing those gnashers. This large freshwater fish has many aliases: Pyara, dog-toothed tetra, wolf fish, and of course, Dracula fish. Being a toothsome creature, the most prominent feature of this fish is its large fangs and spiky, jagged teeth. Those fangs measure 5 to 6 inches long, and so they are as fearsome as the name would imply. These fangs are incredibly strong, ripping prey apart with one bite. They use their fangs to stab their victim and to hold them still so that they can then eat them. Vampire fish are not only equipped with all of the dangerous gear, but these monsters are also super aggressive as well. They hunt constantly and literally live to eat. Insatiable, just like a vampire. With no known predators, the vampire fish is able to go about their business of incessantly hunting prey, drinking the blood of other fish, and indulging in the occasional spot of cannibalism. It's no wonder that many fish, including the scary old piranha no less, are really frightened of the vampire fish and will turn away and hide if they see one nearby. Number 5. Jaguars. The muscular and powerful jaguar can grow up to be about 6 feet long and is only slightly smaller than the biggest of the big cats, that being tigers and lions. As the jaguar stalks the land in Central America, some of their prey can be fairly hefty and dangerous. I mean, taking on a giant cayman, and these guys do often, and winning is kind of awesome. They have huge heads and extraordinarily powerful jaws, complete with a set of dangerously pointy teeth. The jaguar is very fast and has excellent climbing skills, and they do love to swim. The cat is a stealthy hunter and will generally stalk silently all before landing one decisive attacking blow. Oh, and they also have one insane death-making move as well. Those powerful jaws, which they can use to bite into the skull of large prey, sinking their teeth into the victim's brain and making it, well, instantly dead. Number 4. Arapima. Placed firmly in amongst the largest of freshwater fish in the world, the Arapima is native of the Amazon and other basins in South America. These gigantic fishes will frequently grow to about 9 feet in length and can get even bigger than that. Their numbers have declined in recent decades as a result of overfishing and the modern problem of habitat loss. Arapima fish have a distinctly pouty old fish face, a long body, and a massive tail, though they generally live in the river itself, being fish and all. During the wet season, Arapima are dispersed all over the place as the rivers overflow into the surrounding forest. This is usually an issue for most fish. The decaying vegetation makes oxygen levels in the water too low to sustain them, but the Arapima can breathe air. In fact, it has a swim bladder modification which allows it to act as a lung, meaning this fish can even survive outside of water for as long as 24 hours. It may be the largest of all the world's freshwater fish, reaching up to 10 feet and 440 pounds. They get to this size by eating a whole hell of a lot, and they have a weird way of doing it as well. When they open their big old mouths, they create a kind of vacuum which sucks in anything that happens to be nearby, and then they use their nasty, pointy teeth to shred their victim. Number 3. Amazonian manatee. The Amazonian manatee is a lovely and gentle and round-bodied animal that lives in the freshwater rivers, lakes, and swamps of the Amazon basin in South America. It is a sort of sea cow with other manatees. However, it is different from its cousins in Florida or West Africa because the Amazonian manatee lives only in fresh water, not in the sea. These animals can grow up to be about 9 feet long and weigh around 800 pounds, which actually makes it the smallest of all the manatee species. Like other manatees, it is smooth and gray, but it's also unusual in the way that it eats, as it uses its upper lip to grab and pull in food, kind of like a vacuum cleaner. The food that it does eat is almost fashionably plant-based because manatees are herbivores, and they spend most of their time slowly drifting through the water, munching on aquatic vegetation, and they can eat up to 8% of their body weight in plants each and every day. Their slow metabolism and gentle nature make them vulnerable to predators like jaguars and caimans, especially when they are young. To avoid danger, manatees often stay in deeper waters or areas with dense vegetation where they can hide. They are also excellent swimmers, using their paddle-like tails to glide gracefully through the water. Despite their size, they are surprisingly quiet, communicating with each other through soft squeaks and whistles. These vocalizations are especially important between mothers and their calves, who stay together for up to 2 years. These animals are specially adapted to the Amazon's changing seasons, and during the rainy season, they spread out into flooded forests to feed. But when the water dries up in the dry season, they then go back into the deeper lakes and may even fast for weeks on end if the food is hard to find. During this time, their bodies slow down, and they live off of the fat that they stored earlier. Number 2. The Awa. The Awa people are an indigenous group who live deep within the Brazilian Amazon rainforest. They're believed to be approximately 450 strong, and they are one of the last remaining hunter-gatherer societies on Earth. Their unique way of life and deep connection to the rainforest are a rare and rapidly disappearing thing. The Awa have managed to maintain their traditional lifestyle despite external threats. Relying on the rich biodiversity of the Amazon for sustenance, they'll gather fruits, nuts, and hunt for small game for their survival, and have a super deep knowledge of the rainforest's flora and fauna, with a genuine connection to the natural environment because it's vital to their survival. Their ability to navigate the dense jungle and identify medicinal plants has been passed down through generations, making them experts in sustainable living. The Awa also have a spiritual connection to the forest, believing that every tree, animal, and river has a soul and must be respected. They live in small, mobile groups, building temporary shelters as they move through the forest to avoid depleting resources in one area. This nomadic lifestyle has helped them adapt to the challenges of living in such a remote and demanding environment. However, the encroachment of illegal loggers and ranchers has forced some Awa to flee deeper into the forest, disrupting their traditional way of life. Reports of violent confrontations with outsiders have highlighted the dangers they face in protecting their land. Despite these challenges, the Awa have shown incredible resilience, continuing to fight for their right to exist in harmony with the forest. Despite their resilience, the people have faced a ton of major challenges. Things like deforestation, illegal logging, and land encroachment have threatened not only their territory but also their way of life. Efforts by the Brazilian government and international organizations have been made to protect the land and ensure their survival, but many of them still live in isolation, facing the constant threat of outsiders. Really, there's nothing to fear from the tribe, but to be honest, they have everything to fear from the outside world. Number 1. The Lost City of Z. Back in the early 20th century, there was a surveyor from Britain with the rather British name of Colonel Percy Harrison Fawcett. He studied the continent of South America extensively and became obsessed with the idea that there had been an indigenous city in the jungle of Mato Grosso in Brazil. Fawcett based his ideas on the study of early histories of the region and his own intense explorations of the Amazon River and its surroundings. His surveys led him to conclude that there must be evidence of a complex lost civilization that had once existed in the area. Fawcett referred to this hypothetical city as Z, believing it to be a place of advanced culture and architecture hidden deep within the Amazon. His theories were met with skepticism by many of his contemporaries, who dismissed the idea of advanced civilizations in the jungle as fanciful. However, modern archaeological discoveries, such as evidence of ancient earthworks and settlements in the Amazon, have lent some credibility to his claims. Fawcett's obsession with finding Z was fueled by his discovery of mysterious artifacts, including pottery shards and inscriptions, which he believed were remnants of this lost city. His expeditions were grueling, often involving encounters with hostile wildlife, disease, and the challenges of navigating dense, uncharted rainforests. Despite the dangers, Fawcett remained undeterred, convinced that his discoveries would rewrite the history of South America. His disappearance in 1925 sparked numerous rescue missions and fueled decades of speculation about his fate, with theories ranging from death by starvation to being killed by indigenous tribes. Unfortunately, we will never know the outcome to Fawcett's own investigations because in 1925, he and 2 companions went out on an expedition in search of this evidence, but they never returned. The story of Fawcett was made into a movie in 2016, and it was called The Lost City of Z. It starred Charlie Hunnam as Fawcett and Robert Pattinson as one of his companions. Well, that's all for the scariest things in the Amazon for today. Which of these amazing discoveries blew your mind? Go ahead and share your thoughts in the comments section below. Also, be sure to check out the other cool things appearing on the screen. I'll see you next time.